Pues, ¿qué creen?
¿Qué creemos?
Alfie Templeman en la casa.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, my friend, my michelada friend.
My michelada brother.
So you are like having troubles between the time,
Yeah.
your body. It's like in the United States, maybe you're flying home, but you have an amazing time here in Mexico City. So
Yeah, it's been amazing.
the first question is, we really love this the way you work, this new album.
Thanks.
It's like maybe a roller coaster between some calm songs, some pretty energetic and danceable songs. So where does inspiration come from? Maybe life itself is inspiration. Maybe you took a specific topic and start working on that.
Yeah, I guess it's quite a natural thing. I wrote the record mostly around just like moving out to London because I like grew up in like a really small kind of like countryside kind of farmy place. So like moving to London was obviously very different, like going into a big city. So I wrote it about that, but also just about like growing up. I mean, I started making the record when I was like 19 and finished it when I was 21. So it's like, you know, there's a big difference in that kind of time period.
Yeah.
So it's just about like growing up and becoming an adult, really. Yeah,
But still having fun in the
still having
time.
lots of fun.
Yeah.
It's a very fun album. So
Nos platica que este nuevo álbum en especial, pues sí tuvo un lapso de tiempo ahí bastante interesante, que crecer en una zona de campo y luego moverse a Londres, pues este movimiento y pues refleja a veces la calma y la fiesta que tiene que haber en el Inter.
Así es. I want to talk a little bit about the production part of Alfie Templeman. I think it's such an essential part of this project. So can you tell us a little bit how you produce your songs? How is a day on the studio for your project?
yeah, with this album, most of the production wasn't actually me, which I thought was really important actually, because the previous album, my first record, Mellow Moon, I produced most of it by myself, and I did it kind of in my bedroom. But with this record, I wanted to go in fresh, and I don't know, I felt like a lot of like my production techniques and stuff I hadn't really grown with during this album, and I found it quite hard to produce, you know, like off the back end of 2022 after we finished touring, that's when I started making Radio Soul, and I really struggled with just like production choices myself, so I kind of gave up and said, you know what, I'm gonna go work with a bunch of other producers that I really respect. So yeah, this album was kind of it was a big collaboration. It was about working with really great pop producers, people that just have their heads screwed on and know exactly how to enhance a pop song, like Oscar Scheller. But then there's people like Dan Carey, where you just go into the studio and it's just like, what am I even going to do today? Like, I have no idea. I'm just going in blind. And then he has all these weird synthesizers and stuff that you just like go crazy with. So, you know, yeah, production's really important to me. I think it's part of songwriting in a big way, you know. Like, I write my songs and produce them at the same time most of the time. So, yeah.
Bueno, básicamente de lo que estábamos hablando es que la producción para Alfie es una parte crucial, digamos, de este proyecto. Este fue el primer álbum que lo hizo con otros productores, porque generalmente él lo hacía de manera pues solitaria. Entonces que fue una gran experiencia trabajar con tantos productores tan reconocidos y pues sí.
Changing the way of work, because maybe in the last answer you told me like, maybe it's like a personal way, the way you work before this album. But in this album, there's a lot of people. And it's curious because the name of the album, Radio Soul, maybe it's a good point of view of your music. It's the soul speaking.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to open your ideas or your way you work, your thoughts to other people, to other producers. It's difficult to share these ideas.
Yeah, I think the point was, like, I got together, like, a really small list of producers that I respected and loved because I guess they were people that I knew I could trust, right? Even if I hadn't really worked with them before. Like, I was such a big fan of their production from different records that I knew that when I'd go and work with them, they'd probably most likely understand my perspective. So I wasn't too worried, to be honest. I was like, I knew it was going to be all right because, like, yeah, I was a big fan of all of the people I work with already.
I'm in good hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, le pregunté si es difícil abrirse con sus ideas porque antes de este disco era muy manera personal. Trabajaba, editaba, producía y pues ahora dice, no, me sentí completamente en calma y confiado porque trabajé con personas que admiro y pues todo fluyó, ¿no?
Something interesting for me, it's when an artist in like a young age that doesn't have a lot of albums, a lot of material, it's having great success like yourself. So can you tell us how is like your life, how you live with this success of the project, being like in America, in Europe, in all these places of the world, playing music? Can you tell us a little bit how is your life?
It's funny. Like this is the first like actual tour I've done in like 2 years. So to be honest, at the moment, like it's just been a reminder of like what it used to be like touring. Like it's been really nice to go out on the road again and meet fans that we've met before, but also see a bunch of new people that you know didn't listen to us 2 years ago. I guess when I'm back at home, I'm very grounded. Like I just kind of separate myself from all of this. So like when you're on tour, that's when it's like, oh, I'm on tour. Like this is crazy. Like it feels kind of rock and roll.
I like that.
And now I need my bed right now.
Yeah.
On tour, your breakfast is a michelada, and in your house, you
That's it. That's all you need. Maybe 2 of them.
That's great. Estábamos justo preguntándole pues cómo fue este éxito desde tan corta edad, desde pues con pocos discos llegar a tener giras mundiales, y pues justo nos cuenta que tiene como 2, digamos, personalidades, ¿no? El de en tour, que tiene la oportunidad de conocer a muchos fans que ya conocía, fans que no topaba y que ha tenido el gusto de conocer. Y dice que cuando llega a casa pues se siente como... ¿Cómo lo dirías? Grounded.
Pues asentado ya.
Asentado.
Aterrizadón.
Es correcto.
You play awesome riffs on your guitar.
Thanks.
In a live show, also you play amazing. So, have this collaboration with Nile Rodgers. Tell me about how this opportunity burns.
My G, yes, my G Nile Rodgers. Well, this happened because the last record I put out, I had a song on it called Broken, and it's quite a funky song. It has like kind of like the Nile Rodgers-y kind of choppy playing.
Yeah.
And back in the UK, I just mentioned that I was a big fan of him and how I basically rip off his guitar playing quite a lot. And the person I was talking to was like, "Oh man, you'll do something with him sometime." So I was like, "No way." And then like literally the day after, he like texted me saying like, "Come to Abbey Road." I was like, what? Come to Abbey Road and meet Nile Rodgers. Like, that's 2 crazy things in one. And, yeah. And then,
I spit out my micheladas.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was in Bedfordshire, UK, which doesn't do micheladas. So.
You have a big opportunity on that.
Yeah, I know. There's a gap in the market there.
We can send you the recipe.
I make them.
Recipe, yeah.
You can start like Alfie Templeman micheladas.
I'll tell you
like
my michelada recipe in a bit, because my micheladas are really good.
Nice.
Yeah, but anyways, like a year later, after meeting him in Abbey Road, we finally worked together in Miami, and just made that song "Just a Dance" that's on the record. I wrote the riff for it like 5 or 6 years ago, so the fact that he liked the riff is really cool. And then he ended up playing it, and we just made the song around it, you know. So.
Nos cuenta un poco que pues su deseo era como trabajar, que es muy fan, y se lo mencionó un productor y le dijo, pues ¿qué crees? Vas a grabar en Abbey Road y ya te contactamos con Nile Rodgers.
Nada más.
El riff de Just a Dance ya estaba hecho hace 5 o 6 años y fue como de, pues te toca grabarlo. Y pues sorprendido, todas las noticias en un solo día.
Something that it's pretty interesting to us, we both are guitarists, so talking with people who write riffs and have like a tone that it's very specific for that artist, I want to ask you how you write these riffs on the guitar, and can you tell us a little bit about the tone of your guitar?
Yeah. I guess in terms of writing the riffs, like half the time I'll just like sit down with a guitar and noodle around, and like you accidentally play something where it's like, oh, that's cool, even if it's like 4 notes or whatever, and then you build around it and you work out a melody that's really strong, and then put the chords around it, you know. But other times, like I've just dreamt riffs that like sound cool, and then you just have it. It just kind of comes to you the same way that like melodies do, you know. I just apply them to a guitar. What was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Talking a little bit about the tone of.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, the tone's normally just, it's quite random. Like I normally just like DI everything, you know. Like I don't really like go through an amplifier too much when I'm recording. So I don't know. Like at the moment, the tones that I've been working on, like guitar-wise, have been very like squelchy. That's the only way I can. It's like wow, it's like kind of wah-wah-y with some chorus and like a little bit of like tremolo sometimes, and like a little bit of vibrato, like kind of just like very. I don't know if you know Colin Moccasin, but like I like his stuff, and like L.A. Priest and like McGee. They're all like my kind of. They're like those tones are like what I really like at the moment. So, yeah.
I love that. Justo le estaba preguntando que con un sonido tan característico en la guitarra, pues cómo escribe sus riffs y cómo llega ese tono en la guitarra, ¿no? Hablando de los riffs, nos cuenta que se pone a jugar con la guitarra hasta que salen algunas notas que le parecen interesantes, o luego vienen como alguna melodía a la cabeza, algún tono y algún riff más bien, y de ahí ya lo saca. Y referente al tono, nos cuenta que está usando mucho como interfaces digitales para crear esos tonos, y que le gusta mucho el wah, el chorus y todos esos tonos que bastante espaciales, ¿no?
You're going home, the tour is over maybe, taking a quick break, so maybe between countries and in a specific case in Mexico, it's a pretty crazy crowd here in Mexico.
Yeah.
It's very devoted. It's very passionate. So.
Oh yeah.
Last weekend you played here in Mexico City. So this inspiration, this kind of a vibe of the people, inspired you in the next things you have in mind to work on that?
Yeah, always. It's true. Like I guess like the last tour we did in 2022, like I just came out of it like really fulfilled, and you know, there was a lot of inspiration there, a lot of energy that I then took and turned into music. So I feel like, yeah, by the end of this year, I have so many new experiences to talk about. Like even in like the last 10, 11 days, like so much has happened, so much has changed. I feel like a different person. Tour is like, it feels like a year in like 3 months. There's a lot that happens. So yeah, it's about taking that energy and then applying it to your music.
Yeah. Nos cuenta que, pues sí, que después de estos días de gira, pues sí lo nutren, sí, la experiencia, y que con eso va a llegar a casa con una mente pues ya fresca y demás. Alfie, we know you're going to take a flight tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. Mexico is always your home. We are waiting your michelada recipe.
Yeah, shall I hit you with it?
One last question. Please describe me Alfie Templeman in 3 words.
An absolute nightmare.
Wow, I love that. I should say the king of micheladas. It's a good one.
Accurate as fuck, yeah. Alfie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We can go with Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, sounds
Please
great.
introduce.
I'm Alfie Templeman, and this is Eyes Wide Shut.
Damn, son.